a seasoned technology head and IT infrastructure leader, Mr. Kunal Shah.
I would like to say network security is like a blood in the body, like it has to flow in each and every corner of the corporate world, every data center or every manufacturing plant.
I really love how you sort of turned something as complex as enterprise security into such a relatable picture.
When we started to upgrade, we upgraded to 100 MB, and now with private 5G, we are not having challenge of bandwidth.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute World Council of Directors. I'm your host, Charu Mehra, and today's guest is someone who has spent more than 2 decades operating in environments where infrastructure failure simply isn't an option. Designing, defending, upgrading, and scaling enterprise networks at a massive scale. We are joined by Mr. Kunal Shah, a seasoned technology head and IT infrastructure leader with deep expertise in network security architecture, data center strategy, and large scale transformation programs. Earlier in his career at Hindalco Industries, he led several pan India infrastructure initiatives, from SD-WAN development across 55 locations to network access control for over 10,000 users, strengthening perimeter security across more than 20 sites, and establishing enterprise monitoring through NOC and Aruba Central. He was also involved in exploring private 5G use cases for mining operations, which honestly sounds like the kind of project where your risk register needs its own risk register. Mr. Kunal Shah, welcome to FaceTime with Leaders. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much, Charu. That was a warm welcome, and thank you so much for the brief introduction. It was great.
All right, Mr. Kunal, let's start somewhere light but interesting. Here's something I've always been curious about. When people hear network security or data center, they imagine screens, alert, command centers, maybe someone dramatically saying, "We've been breached." But if you had to explain what you actually do at a dinner table to someone who doesn't work in tech at all, how would you describe it?
Okay, so Charu, great analogy. So what exactly I work in a layman's term, if you ask me, recently we completed a cricket match, World Cup where everyone was fond of. So I would correlate that example with the cricket match.
Wonderful.
My job is typically similar to an all-rounder in a cricket match, where I have to do bowling, take wickets, I have to do batting, make some runs for the team, and at the same time need to do a good fielding to save some runs and take some good catches. So my role is typical to an all-rounder where I have to look after the complete corporate world of the network security and manage the overall network. Also, what I would like to say, it is like a traffic controller, ensuring that every vehicle reaches safely without the jamming in the path itself.
Right.
So also I would like to highlight this journey where key moments which you mentioned, SD-WAN project which we did. We completed around 55 units where we deployed the software-defined WAN network in just 41 days. It was challenging, but we did in 41 days with good team support, and it includes complete supply, installation, and testing the product stability. It is not a safe journey and a stable journey always. We face some challenges during some other projects also, which I would like to highlight. Like we did one of the project of digitization where we had to replace 300 switches. So what happened was during the replacement of switches, after the delivery of the switches, we found that some hardware components are not compatible, and we had to get some new hardware to the support. So we had to get some new fiber modules which supports the switches, and that was not easily available. That took around 12 months.
Right.
So the project got delayed within the 12 months from the go live date, and that was one of the risks we faced in the project as well. So it is not a good goodie always. There are some challenges we face as well. But I would like to say network security is like a blood in the body, like it has to flow in each and every corner of the corporate world, every data center or every manufacturing plant.
Right.
Without network, it is like you are dead. So what I always say is network is the blood of the corporate world. I would also like to demonstrate a short use case, one of the previously what I said on the SD-WAN project. So where it was traditional network going in the network, and we had to replace with the modern world software defined network. So what happened? This was the first time we were doing, and what we faced was we had to do some thorough planning before execution. So what we did was we set on the project, did 3 months of execution before we did 3 months of planning, and then we did the execution. So that helped to do the execution very smoothly. So another point was, during the discussion of planning, our team highlighted that why cannot we do the boxes pre-configured in Mumbai office? So that decreases the turnaround time at the remote locations. Right. So that was a good team idea, and we implemented that, due to which the timelines got reduced and the project completed in 41 days. Wow. Also, what we did was, since these are manufacturing plants, you cannot afford to have a downtime or a network going down more than 30 minutes. Right. So the planning was done in such a way that overall end-to-end network cutover to migration was completed in 30 minutes due to each plant, and that happened as well. There was no business downtime occurred. So another key highlight of the project was high resiliency and high throughput, what we did as a benefit from this project, because now all the new age applications are highly bandwidth consumption. So what this project helped was, you can now have the scalability of the network from some Mbps to Gbps now, and the same network can run up to Gbps. Wow. So that was one of the biggest benefit of the project which we achieved. So overall, what I feel, technology and teamwork, what I feel people always come first. Hence, I believe teamwork is a key important ingredient of this success. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Shah. And I really love how you sort of turned something as complex as enterprise security into such a relatable picture, where you talk about cricket and being an all-rounder where you have to do everything. It's so refreshing to hear the human side behind those data centers and dashboards we all imagine. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, and many congratulations on successfully completing the project in such a short amount of time. Thank you so much. So industries like metals and mining are now entering a phase where traditional IT infrastructure is merging with operational systems, creating that many call industrial digital platforms. You are already exploring private 5G solutions for mining environment. How do you see enterprise IT evolving as it begins to support smart plants, connected mines, lot-enabled operations, and real-time industrial data platforms? So a very good question at this point of time, where I take it 5 years back from now, where these mining areas, we are facing a lot of challenges for getting network connectivity, internet, or even getting some good support on the locations. Where earlier the speed or the bandwidth of internet we used to get at 5 years back was around 10 MB to 20 Mbps. But the current infrastructure and current world of AIs will not run on 10 MBs and 20 MBs. Right. So that is where we started planning to have some good bandwidth upgrades, good future technology where we can have the leverage of having good bandwidth for support. Right. And then we started to upgrade. We upgraded to 100 MB, and now with private 5G, we are not having challenge of bandwidth. So now what I feel, IT is directly connected to operations on the shop floor and mining, from IoT sensors and automation to smart factory. What you mentioned correctly was IT is now an equal part of smart factory setup, IoT setup within the organization. Right. So IT is like becoming the nervous system of the industrial operations as well. What I feel, that it is a good biggest shift we are observing, where earlier it was isolated setup of factory setup being separate, IT setup being separate.
Right.
Now the biggest shift what we are seeing is integration between IT and OT, which helps treating as an enterprise network, as a corporate network for the overall and corporate world.
Right.
So one of the real challenges, what you mentioned from mining, as I mentioned 5 years back, one of the biggest challenge what we are facing is user expectation now. Because in the remotest of the world also, people want the mission critical operations or smart factory setup to work smoothly.
Right.
But without the network, without the bandwidths, you will not get that running smoothly. So that is one of the real challenges we are facing to get the high bandwidth availability to support AIs and the smart factory setup.
Right. Right.
So hence what I feel role of IT is now similar to a air traffic control, without which the aircraft cannot function with precision, visibility, and speed of knots. That is what I feel, that role of IT has now increased comparatively in the last 3 years.
Absolutely. That is such a fascinating perspective, Mr. Shah. What you're describing really shows how the role of IT in industries like metal and mining is
Yes.
expanding far beyond traditional enterprise systems.
Yes.
So, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.
What I also foresee is the next generation manufacturing plants will be fully automated with integrated digital platforms from IoT data to AI world and combined with the live data.
Yeah.
There, this all three streams data has to cohesively work as a single stream of data and take that help a business to take decisions based on the data. What I feel.
Yes, yes,
So there are
absolutely.
multiple technologies available, like private industrial IoT, which can be integrated in single ecosystems. Like we have worked with multiple OEMs, Cisco's, HP's, Fortinet. They are already having such kind of advanced systems where this can be integrated as a single network and work as a cohesively as a single IT network.
Right,
So
right.
what I feel the role of IT leaders has become even more critical, from not only managing the IT setup, but also driving such integrations like OT, AI, industrial data, and in such environment, aligning as a single express highway for the organization to work as a single corporate network.
Right, right. And as you said, introduction of AI in this field is definitely going to act as an enabler and it's
Yes.
going to help move the industry forward. So, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us on this.
Thank you so much.
Previously at Hindalco, you've been leading large-scale infrastructure and security programs across the country, from SD-WAN migration across 55 units to network refresh across 25 plants. NAC deployment for 10,000 users, and perimeter security strengthening across multiple sites. When infrastructure operates at that kind of scale across plants, data centers, offices, and cloud environments, what becomes the biggest challenge? Technology, coordination, or decision making?
So, very good question again. What I would like to say, I cannot pick up one out of them. All three are critical ingredients for any of the technical projects or any of the such kind of large scale programs.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I was privileged to work on such a high scale infrastructure where managing 28 manufacturing plants, 3 data centers, multiple cloud environment, and a corporate office to manage and support with around 700 users.
Right.
So it was an environment which was always dynamic, and it was always uh, sustainable to growth always. So in such an environment, what I feel technology is the rarest part, but main challenge is right timing to match for the project and operations and stakeholder management, because you need to align all of them together in such a way that it cohesively becomes as a single flow rather than getting separated in operations or projects. It has to be a single flow. So that is the biggest challenge: coordination and getting time and life management. That is the biggest challenge in current world.
Mm-hmm.
I recollect an instance where project execution of one of the project was going on, and suddenly in between 4:30 or 5ish, multiple plans started raising and a complaint that some critical business application is not working across multiple plants of Oracle. Deep diving into it, we found what is the root cause. But at that point, we suddenly found multiple plants raising complaints that hundred of trucks of dispatch are on hold, and it was a month and time. So the criticality increases even more.
Right.
So in such cases, you need to set priority where you need to define the priority for projects or operations. But during such time, incidents, operation has to be given priority because there is a major impact there.
Right.
So
Right.
this is where the challenge what we face is setting priority to critical events. That is the biggest challenge. Also, what one of the major turning point I see during one of my execution was NAC project, Network Access Control, where everything was going as per the plan, and it seemed to be just another project. But still, because there were 10,000 users, downtime from the users, availability of the users was not normalized. This project took around 3 years for completion, and it was a major scale where every user had to get updated in the system, and multiple coordination was there. So also the product capabilities and execution at user level had to be done. So
Right.
this was the biggest challenge what we faced was we did not think about that it would take such a long time. But when on ground execution came, it took around 3 years for completion of such project. So this experience taught that we need to balance security, business uptime to align with technology.
So, you know what, I really feel that it actually depends on what the project is, that decides what the challenge is, sort of, because you've given examples, three examples, and three of them have different challenge altogether.
What I believe, a success for such stream comes from structured decision making and trust across the teams. You
Absolutely.
need to identify the risk, prioritize the risk, and take the forward approach.
Right.
In short, driving such a large scale setup for pan India infrastructure is like conducting an orchestra together. You need to get all the teams together and have it them synchronized. So that is the role which I was assigned. At the same time, consistently monitor the projects and execute the projects.
Right.
So the same example what I gave earlier, SD-WAN rollout, where you need to coordinate with multiple teams, manage the vendors, manage the plant teams, downtime of the plant. So all this had to be coordinated along with project execution team at the same time with the upward management execution with the top management team.
Right.
So and the most important was meeting the deadlines, project deadlines. So this all challenges had to be ensured that there is no business outage or no breakdown in the network as well.
Right. Right. So it brings all the three things together, and it's really interesting, Mr. Shah. At that scale that you described, it almost sounds like managing industrial infrastructure rather than just managing networks. So kudos to you on doing that job successfully, sir.
Thank you so much.
Throughout your career, you've collaborated with global technology partners like Fortinet, Palo Alto, Cisco, HPE Aruba, and Scalar, while also managing large infrastructure budgets and enterprise deployments. When evaluating technology for long-term enterprise use, what do you prioritize most? Performance, scalability, operational simplicity, or vendor ecosystem support? And what is that one mistake organizations often make when choosing a technology solution for large environments?
So yes, this is very close to my heart. I have worked closely with mostly all the names you mentioned: the Cisco's, the HP, Fortinet, Palo Altos. Absolutely. What first thing as a manufacturing industry or as an Indian conglomerate, what we do is taking a decision which can support you for an horizon of 8 to 10 years. Because like MNCs, we do not have that option of replacing or changing the technology in every 5 years or 3 years. So
Right.
first thing what we take about is scalability and stability for next 8 to 10 years. So
Mm-hmm.
the technology must survive the scale, operations, and provide stability in the infrastructure. That
Mm-hmm.
is one thing what first we take care while taking any technology decisions. The real priority what we face when choosing enterprise technology is operational simplicity, which should be easy to deploy, should be stable and scalable, as I said earlier. So this because it has to be deployed across multiple offices, multiple locations. So the deployment has to be stable and the operations has to be stable. That is one thing
Right.
we also
Right.
check. So, because the complexity of the new technology increases during incidents where the delay and loss is much higher.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to the power grids, where you see that reliability and uptime matters more than the fancy features. Because
Mm-hmm.
in our domain, the network has to run 24 by 7 without a break. So
Right.
that is one thing what we feel is the complexity should be as minimal as possible. To coming to your question, one of the common mistakes what I feel currently, it is not a mistake, I would say, but getting attracted to the fancy features and the dashboards what the new Gen Zs and the new technology provides. We get attracted to such kind of technologies and fancy features. But what I feel is the technology what you take should serve the purpose of your deployment rather than the fancy features. What I feel, it should serve the purpose while you're deploying. That should be your first goal rather than the dashboards, CIO dashboards or other dashboards. Your first goal should be to get the purpose of deployment. So what I feel, strong technology decisions are balance of stability, performance, and operational support, because that is where your day two and your next 5 years would be supported from an organization. So I believe, deploy once and forget it forever. So you should not get into it every 1 year or 2 years and look for any other option. So that is my takeaway, that organization should focus on the stability and operational support.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a really very interesting way to look at it, Mr. Shah. Often when people talk about enterprise technology, as you said, the conversation revolves around features and performance, but what you are describing highlights the operational realities behind those decisions.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
It's time for a rapid fire round. Short questions, quick responses, no overthinking. Ready?
Sure. Sure.
All right, first one. What's the very first thing you do when you start your day?
I be on the gratitude side towards Almighty and the universe for waking me up and be on the strongest part.
Wow, wonderful. Okay, next one. One certification or learning that genuinely changed how you work.
It is not one, I would say it is two. One was PMP, what I did a few years back, and now the ID certification, independent director certification. So these two changes.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, next one. One habit that quietly made you into a strong leader over the years.
I believe what I feel is believe in yourself no matter what the situation is. So that has helped me.
Absolutely. All right. Next one is when pressure builds, where do you go to physically or mentally to reset?
Of course, mentally calmness, what I go on to focus on the next solution.
Wonderful. Okay, next one. One food you absolutely cannot say no to.
So as you know, being a Mumbaikar, it has to be vada pav.
And I am not a Mumbaikar, but I love vada pav. I'm like, I just live for vada pav.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm there, I definitely make sure that I eat it at least once in every 2 days.
Yes.
Okay, next one and the last one for today's rapid fire round is one daily ritual that keeps you grounded when decisions feel heavy.
I feel staying in the present helps me.
Wow, that's really a good thought. So thank you so much for that wonderful rapid fire round. You've been so candid with us, and I really like doing this round because it helps us see the person behind the professional. So thank you for being so honest and candid with us.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Shah, I want to take you to the moments every infrastructure leader thinks about quietly. We've seen globally how operational failures and security failures can cascade, sometimes starting as small technical issues and ending as massive business crises. So here's my question. From your lens, network security, data centers, business continuity, what are the most dangerous invisible risks? in large organizations today? And if you had to give the audience a practical takeaway, what should leaders, especially non technical leaders, ask their team every quarter to make sure they are not being surprised by an avoidable failure?
So, in this, I would not say one particular instance to be taken care. All this which you mentioned, like single point of failure, misconfiguration, network routings. So, these are small in nature but cannot be missed. Each of them has their own risk, each of them has their own failure capital which you have to pay if it doesn't work. So, what
Right.
I feel invisible risks are louder than the visible outages in the network. It is like the smallest thing which you overlook, like a single point of failure in the network, that can lead to a massive downfall in the network. So I feel from my past experience, what I've done is, having a network which is redundant, resilient, and always scalable helps me to overcome such kind of small issues or small kind of major failures in the network.
Mhm.
One of the incident I would like to share over here, which I mentioned earlier. During an afternoon, we pointed that one of the critical application of our network went down, and we were struggling. We started to, as always, my favorite is when application goes down. First thing people point is network connectivity. Network chala gaya, or there is some issue in the network. Please check. So we started with that. We spent around 15-20 minutes. But then team came up, sir, no issues in the network. Let's go ahead. So then we started with the server team and application team. Same answer, no issues observed. And then suddenly one of my team members said, sir, DNS reachability is an issue. DNS is not working. So then we found out, yes, DNS has been gone down, and that is the reason of this downfall. So this was a good learning where, in such a major incident, you need to have multiple teams cohesively on a single call and work as an orchestra for troubleshooting, and that too with the speed, because every
Right.
minute in the incident counts as your downtime.
Mhm.
So also, in such cases, I would like to always give a parallel example of an ICU, where there are no life critical systems with a single device or a failure rate as a minimal option. So what
Right.
hospitals always do, you would have known, they have backup power, they have redundant oxygen supplies, they have multiple monitoring systems. So similarly, in network also, we need to build this kind of resiliency. But in many enterprise, what we see today is there is a single DNS provider or a single cloud region or even a single service provider. So,
Right.
this can bring the entire business down if you miss such small instances or such small visibility things. So
Absolutely.
resilience always comes from designing redundancy and not assumptions, what I feel. So,
Absolutely.
from this example, one of the key takeaway is within IT there are multiple small buckets: server, network, desktop, endpoint. But during an incident, all of them have to come down together and get the incident resolved first, and then
Mhm.
look for drill down towards the root cause or what are the future improvements. But what
Right.
mistakes mostly leaders do is during the incident they keep on charging is what is the issue, where is the issue, why it had occurred. So this kind of delays the incident resolution. And the biggest risk in the large organization are rarely visible on the dashboard, what I feel. These small things you will not get often on the dashboard. There have
Right.
been assumptions that yes, my network plan, my recovery plan are there solid, my vendors are solid, they would come out. But they will not perform or not be seen on the dashboard when it is absolutely required.
Right. Right. Wow, that was really powerful, and I love how you broke invisible risks into everyday realities leaders can actually act on. And I feel that, it's small things like even in our homes, we keep an extra cylinder of gas so
Yeah.
that if one doesn't, it's empty, we can use the other one. So similarly, in big organizations like that, you should have backups for everything.
Yes.
And the story you shared, that's the perfect example of how tiny oversights can turn into big lessons. So thank you for sharing your insights on this with us.
Thank you.
Mr. Shah, after being part of Directors Institute, how has the experience been for you? personally? Has it added a new dimension to how you look at leadership, oversight, and decision making?
So yes, absolutely. This is the sweetest part of my journey. Recently I have completed the director's program and independent director certificate with government
Wow.
recognition. And being part of Director Institute has always been an enriching experience during this journey for me personally. It has taught me multiple things. What it added was a new dimension to how I look at the leadership. Today I see decisions not only from technical perspective but also from boardroom perspective, which earlier we used to sit in IT and just look it from IT perspective.
Right,
But now from when we see from a higher wavelength, what we see is balancing risk, compliance, resilience, and strategic growth is also important in this journey.
right.
So one of the shift was from execution mindset to the boardroom thinking. What I feel is the shift in this journey. What I feel.
Right,
One moment during this journey where earlier I was thinking about risk related to IT only. However, now after going through I have a lot of clarity on organization wide risk, covering overall organization and capturing the risk from organization wide, which has been one of the good learnings for me.
right, right. Wonderful. That was really beautifully put, Mr. Shah. And I want to firstly thank you for that wonderful feedback that you gave for the Institute. I also love how you describe that shift from execution to a wider, calmer perspective of a boardroom members. So, thank you for that, and I wish you all the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
All right, Mr. Shah, this has been a powerful conversation. What really stands out is this. You've shown us that modern infrastructure leadership isn't about cables and dashboards. It's about trust. It's about building systems that don't just scale when things go right, but stay when things go wrong. For everyone listening today, whether you're in manufacturing, banking, IT operations, or leadership, here's the takeaway. Speed is impressive, but resilience is priceless. In a world of non-stop disruptions, the leaders who win are the ones who build for day two reality, not day one applause. On behalf of Directors Institute World Council of Directors, thank you, Mr. Kunal Shah, for sharing your journey, your clarity, and the leadership thinking behind the systems we all rely on. And to our audience, thank you for joining us on FaceTime with Leaders. If this conversation gave you a new lens on security, continuity, or scaling technology responsibly, share it with someone who leads teams, approves budgets, or carries risk. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.